Kathy Wint is Chief Programs Officer at Hands On Broward and Hands On Miami. It is a volunteer agency that inspires, equips, and mobilizes people to effect positive change. Kathy graduated from the Miami International University of Art and Design. Before Kathy Wint, though, there was Kathy Ramsey, a free-spirited girl born and bred in Antigua. This is her story. Kathy, thank you so much for affording us the opportunity to sit with you. The story of a woman, it's every woman's story, and it's your story this time around. It's about her issues, her challenges, her triumphs, her success, her highs, her lows, her tears, her smiles, and right now you're smiling.
Thank you.
Thanks again. We felt that we needed to reach out to women in the Caribbean who would have had some sort of influence or impact, whether it was regionally, globally, or even from a community level. And from where we sit, Kathy, it appears that you have done all three: globally, regionally, and on a community level.
Yes.
So I know that you're a giver. You believe in the people, you believe in giving back, and you believe in the greater good. The bottom line is making sure that all of us are on the same page and we all live and we all have smiles and we support each other. And I think it probably feels the same way, from a woman's perspective.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about that.
So for me, my story actually began in Antigua. I'm Antiguan born. I am 100% Antiguan. I love saying that because I'm very proud to be Antiguan. I moved here when I was probably 21, and I didn't move willingly.
Oh, boy.
I moved because I had a crazy ex-boyfriend and I had to escape him. So I mean, we're going right into it, right?
This is a story.
So I moved here and I was trying to escape him. I was abused, so I knew I couldn't stay. And I came here and I worked my behind off because I knew that failure wasn't an option for me. I went to college. I did design in college, and I was doing so well. I was working at this company. I worked at the company for 6-7 years. I literally started on the ground floor. And when I left the company, I was the creative director for the company. And I had sleepless nights. I worked, and I worked really, really hard. A lot of people always say, oh, you're so lucky. No, it has nothing to do with luck. It's all hard work. And I find that the harder I work, the luckier I get. So I was at this company. I gave them so many years of my life. And one afternoon, they told me I had 15 minutes to get out of the building, pack up my office.
Are you serious?
I am so serious. And mind you, this job was my life. I was climbing the corporate ladder. I was doing so well. I was making all this money. I was actually teaching at the college I used to attend. And it's like a rug just got pulled from under me. And I remember just bawling that afternoon. And I had just gotten married. And I called my husband and I was crying on the phone hysterically. And he said, babe, we'll be fine. I thought, no, we won't. He's like, calm down. We'll be fine. And sometimes we women, we take men for granted, but there is nothing, we should not underestimate the power of having someone, a man, or even anyone, a partner who is supportive. and he supported me through the entire process. I was out of a job for a year and a half. And during that time, I knew I didn't want to just sit home and be bored and just do nothing. So I started volunteering. And I remember my mother used to tell me this thing when I was younger, when I couldn't get the things that I wanted. And she used to say to me all the time, life is much more than you. At the time, you know, you're young, and I rolled my eyes at her like, okay, I wanted these fancy pair of shoes because I'm a shoe freak. And she would say, no, life is much more than the wants and your desires. And I never understood what that meant until I got older, until I started volunteering. And I used to go to these senior centers. I loved going to the senior centers. And there's so much I learned from the seniors. It amazes me how much they know and how much wisdom and their experiences. And I wish that sometimes that we as young people would just soak up all that they have, because they have so much to give. They've lived it. Everything that we've probably been through, they've been through it. And I volunteered. And every day I would get up and I would go to the senior center, or I would go to a pantry. And that's when I realized, Kathy, you have so much to be thankful for. If you want to just recognize how much, you know, that you're blessed, go to a food pantry or go to a homeless shelter. The things that we take for granted, something as simple as toilet paper or a pair of socks that we take for granted. I buy toilet paper in bulk. I don't ever think about, you know, where is my next roll of toilet paper coming from? No. And the people who live in these shelters and the people who have to go to a pantry, they think about that every day. So sometimes we just have to be so grateful for the things that we have. So I started volunteering, and I was volunteering for a year and a half. And there was this company, it was called Volunteer Broward at the time, and I volunteered with them for a while. And they had an opening, and one of the girls there said, you should apply for the job. I'm not applying for $15,000. At the time it was $15,000 a year. I'm coming from making all this money, you know, doing so well. Now you're gonna tell me I need to apply for a $15,000 a year job. I'm not doing that. And she's like, I think you'll be perfect for this position. I looked into it. It was called AmeriCorps. And it's kind of like the Peace Corps, but it's domestic. Yes. You know what the AmeriCorps is? Yes. So I was like, there's no way in this world that Kathy is going to be doing this and making $15,000 a year. No way. I'm not doing this. So I prayed about it, and I'm like, okay, you haven't been doing anything for so long. Why not just give it a try? And it changed my life. And I would never go back to corporate again. After my contract was up with AmeriCorps for the year, the company, Volunteer Broward, offered me a full-time position. And it's been 10 years, and I'm still there. And I started as a coordinator, actually a volunteer, AmeriCorps member, coordinator, and now I'm the Chief Programs Officer at Hands On Broward. Now Hands On Broward is not called Volunteer Broward anymore. So sometimes things happen for a reason, and you just have to go with the flow at times. I now run all the programs there. I am pretty much in charge of everything that we do, and I love every minute of it. It is possibly the best job I've ever had in my entire life. It gives me a reason to get up in the morning. It is a community base, it's a nonprofit. We do a lot of volunteer work. We do a lot of community-based programs. One of the biggest programs I love to talk about, I have to talk about this. I hope we have time to talk about it. Because people in the community don't know that these programs exist, and I feel like sometimes as Black folks, you know, we tend to stay in our little shell and in our little cocoon. And so this program is called the VIDA program. It is Volunteer Income Tax Assistance. So it is a program that we have, and it helps low-income families with their taxes. They have their taxes filed for free, prepared for free.
That's awesome.
So I work with the IRS. I have an IRS spec, and we set up sites all over the county. And during tax season, instead of families, low-income families, families who can't afford it, a lot of times they pay more than they need to pay to have their taxes prepared. And it's one of those programs where I think that it doesn't get enough traction in our community because people are spending way too much money just to have taxes prepared. But anyway, that's my little plug for my program. So now I am at Hands On Broward. So I'm the chief programs officer for Hands On Broward and Hands On Miami. So I stay busy. I love being busy, and I love helping the community. I am now living what my mom said to me, which is life is much more than you.
Yeah, it's not about you.
It really is not about
It's
me.
not about you.
No.
It's from time to time, it's about we.
Yes.
It
yes.
is bottom
yeah.
line. So let me take you back to when you got that call and that said, you know, you have 15 minutes to leave the building. I mean, when you look back now, would you say that was one of your lowest points?
It probably was.
Yeah. Given the mind frame
Absolutely.
that you were in back then.
Yes, because I was on top of the world.
Yeah.
The world was mine then. You know, I had an office, I had people who reported to me, the whole factory. Like it was, I loved it. This was my dream job. I went to college for it. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. I am climbing the corporate ladder. And not just that, they literally had a security officer at my door, my office door. I couldn't touch anything. They said, don't touch anything. You have 15 minutes. All you need to get is your personal belongings and get out of our building. And I just thought, how could they do this to me? Yeah. You know, I had given them so many years, sleepless nights, just nights of, you know, doing all their work. And that taught me a lesson. No man is an island. There has to be work-life balance. And that really solidified for me that I don't ever want to be there again. I don't want to ever have a job where it's everything for me. It shouldn't be.
No.
Yeah.
So do you think at any point in time, did you ever think that if you were male, that scenario might have been different?
I think about that all the time. Really? Yes. Because the company restructured, and a few people were called back.
Yes.
I wasn't one of them. Mostly males, of course. It was their experience was very different from mine, for sure. And not just male, being a black female in that industry at the time, it wasn't easy getting to where I got to. I had to work twice as hard. I had to work, 2 times the amount of hours that my male counterparts were working. Even now in the nonprofit world, it's, you walk in and you go to a meeting and people look at you and they think, oh, she's probably just the coordinator. And then you introduce yourself and I'm the boss, and they're like, okay. Yeah, so it happens, I live with it. It's not the nicest feeling, and there are times I roll my eyes, but now I just recognize that it is what it is. We all have our personal biases, and I live with it.
So what about women supporting women? And given the role and function that you have now and even before in your past job, do you think that enough support was given to you? Did you find yourself in positions where the women that you thought would have had your back or would have given you the support, they were not there? And if so, what can we do to change that? Or what have you done to change that? Or how do you deal with that when that happens?
So absolutely not. Did not get the support from women, especially women of color. For some reason, I feel that women of color, we tend to think that we're in competition with each other. I do not get it. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
So now, 99% of my team are women and women of color. Not just color, but women of, Like I have, you know, gay women working with me, I have Latino women working with me, and I make sure that I have that diversity because I'm now in a position to change that, so I did.
Yes. Excellent.
Yeah.
That is excellent.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we've been asking that question across the board. How do we change that?
Yeah.
We have this elephant in the room all the time that pops up where we say that we support each other, but
Yeah.
50-50, we really don't.
Yep.
It's a competition. I need to outdo Kathy because I need to show how much better I am or that I can do what she's doing much better. And if someone says to me, would you like Kathy's job? I'm going to smile with Kathy and say, oh, Kathy. But I'm going to say on the flip side, yes, I want it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that. I mean, I know it's human nature overall because it happens everywhere.
I wish that sometimes that we would just think this way. Just because my light is shining doesn't mean that it's going to dim yours. We can both shine together. There's space for all of us. So I feel like we just need to stop. Just look at it. Look at it from this perspective. If you're doing well, I'm going to do well.
Yes.
If you're doing well and someone's seeing you do well, they're going to think, okay, a black woman can do that. So this other black woman, of course she's good. She's capable of doing the same thing.
Yes.
So I wish that we would just change our mindset at times, especially black women. When we're in the position to help other black women, we should.
Yeah. So I lift you up.
Yes.
You lift me up.
Yes.
And we just take it up the ladder.
Thank you to our partners, the Halo Foundation, WEOC, where innovative oil solutions count, Geo's, It's That Good, Simply Coffee Antigua, Studio 72 Antigua, Simply Me, Down West Car Rentals, more than just a good deal.
I am woman. Hear me roar. In numbers too big to ignore. Yes, I've paid the price. If I have to, I can do anything. I am woman.
Here at West Indies Oil, we recognize the contribution that women make to our country and our society as a whole. And therefore, we'll continue to provide opportunities for women to play key roles in the growth and success of this company.
In 1994, Monique Ramsey was taken from this world way too soon. Murdered by someone who at the time was closest to her heart. She was 24 years old. Monique Ramsey was Kathy Wint's sister. And even though Kathy did not speak about Monique during the interview, we spoke about Monique at length after. I could see the pain, the hurt, the tears were coming when Kathy spoke about Monique. And Kathy had a story to tell, her own story of abuse. She did not want to become a statistic. And unlike Monique, she did what she could. She fled. She ran as far as possible away from Antigua to make sure that she had a life.
So let's talk a little bit about your abuse, because that is something that we don't want to talk about. A lot of it is taking place in the islands.
Yes.
And the legislation in many of them is not in place. And the education is not there as well. It's taboo to talk about what takes place in the household. It may be a married couple having issues, domestic violence, and we just say, you know, that's man and woman business. My neighbor next door, you know, the female may not want to come and get involved or say, Kathy, Nicola, let me help you, or let me see how I can assist you, or let me let you talk to someone, or even report it. Sometimes we need to be forced into situations where we help ourselves. But your situation was one where you fled. You had to.
I had to, or else I was going to die or I was going to kill him. It was, someone was going to die, and I knew that's not the life I wanted for me. I mean, I grew up seeing family members going through it, and I always promised myself that I wouldn't go through it. So when it started happening to me, I can't tell you the type of depression that I was going through. And I just knew that I had to get out of it. And the only way was for me to just leave that little island.
Walk away.
Because it is, you know, it always comes back to the woman and what she did. Like, what did you do to make him mad? Are you serious? Doesn't matter what I did. He has no right to do what he's doing. And I wish that a lot of women would just, I think it's because a lot of times we don't know our value. That's why we stay in these crazy relationships. And I knew I had value. I knew that this wasn't a life that Kathy wanted for Kathy. And I thank God my grandmother gave me a green card. So I left that island so quick. I bought a ticket. I came here with $600 in my pocket. I literally came to the States with $600 in my pocket, nowhere to live. I lived in a motel for 3 weeks, and I knew that I was going to make it somehow. Somehow. I knew it was, and I didn't want my family to feel like they were responsible for me, or because I left without even telling them what was happening. And I hadn't talked about it for years. Like I just didn't tell them. I didn't think they would understand it. I didn't think, you know, they'd be supportive of me. So I knew I just had to do this on my own. So that's what I did. And I have no regrets.
So, you know, the possibility existed that if you did speak about it, it might have been, Kathy, just, you know, just don't say anything. Leave him alone. You know, what, as you rightfully said, what did you do? Maybe you should change your attitude. Just, you know, no. And that tends to be a reaction that we have in 2019 still. And it's really unfortunate until it's too late.
It's funny because I've never had this conversation with most of my family members. I think I had the conversation with my mother once. And she couldn't believe it. And I just thought, the signs were all there.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where I absolutely despise it. I don't think there's ever a reason where a man should put his hand on a woman, ever. And for all the women out there who are listening, you know, I just know your value, know your worth. And once you recognize what your worth is, then you can walk away.
What you do now in terms of your outreach, is there a portfolio, or do you open your heart and your hands to women who have been abused? Do you have sessions or even just a comfort zone? You know, your travels, you know, interacting with women who may have had hard times like what you've encountered. What do you do? So for the community outreach, a lot of the agencies that we support, who are women who are abused and are fleeing, there are a few of them. I do have, and I'm kind of choking up a little bit because when I do go to these agencies, it brings back, it floods all these memories back. So I try to avoid them as much as I can, but I do support them through, of course, all the people who work with me and, you know, all my program managers and all of that. But it's hard. It's hard going, because I've sat with women, I've gone, I've sat with them, heard their stories, listened to them, and it's almost as if you're living through your own pain. You're living through your own pain again, and I don't want to do that. So I try to avoid it. But to answer your question, I do support with what I do, and the agency that I work for, we do support their programming. Is there anybody you think you can probably sit with and speak with them to help you, you know, fully rise out of this? Because I mean, it's been so long.
Well, I think I have.
And it's tough
it's not
for
that
you.
It's not that I haven't. I've definitely grown from it. lived through it. I've, you know.
But it still brings you so
But
much
it
pain.
does.
And rightfully so. Rightfully so.
Yeah,
And how many other women out there like
Yeah.
you, you know, are having this same issue,
Yeah.
but hats off to you for being able to speak
Yeah.
about it. So that means that you've reached a level where, you know, you've gone past.
And yes, I've been through tons of therapy
Yes.
to get through it.
Yes.
Tons and tons, thousands of dollars worth of therapy. That I can laugh about it now. But yeah. Yeah.
I commend you for that, Kathy.
Thank you.
And thank you for having the strength to even, you know, speak about it, you know, so willingly. Let's talk about Caribbean women and basically, you know, us moving forward, our general attitude and persona, and not just Caribbean women in the Americas, but Caribbean women in the Caribbean. A lot of us feel that, and I've encountered quite a few, that we are not as good as the first world woman. And I've had one or two encounters with women who say to me, listen, you know, this is the life that I live and there's nothing better out there for me, and I've just learned to settle with what I have, and I don't need to do anything else. I would like to maybe, you know, pursue a career in X, Y, and Z, but this is where I am. I can't do anything about it, so I'm just going to live the life.
Oh,
What
dear.
can we do? What can we do to change that?
I
Have you encountered any women like that?
Yes, a few. Caribbean women are some of the most unique
Yes.
women
Yes.
in the world.
Yes.
We have a certain type of insightful. And when you meet Caribbean women, usually for me, it's always this thing, oh my God, she's so beautiful, or my God, she's intelligent. I feel like we have this je ne sais quoi, like there's this thing about us. And most of the men here in America will tell you that. There is just this unique thing about Caribbean women that they love and they enjoy. So I hate it when I hear Caribbean
Yes.
women speak like
Yes.
that. And my advice to any woman who thinks that, you know, that's it and settling, don't ever do that. Listen, do what you love, and if there's one thing that you love, light that fire. You know, do it well. Do some research, even if it's something as simple as gardening. Start doing some research. You know, start gardening. Light a fire under your feet and do what you
Fire under your
love.
foot.
Yes, because why you're gonna sit around and cook and do what?
Yes.
Clean the house. Then what? There's more to it. Listen, if that's what you want to do, I'm more power to you. You should be okay with that. But if you want to do more, just do it. Like Nike says, get up and do something.
Thank you to our partners, the Halo Foundation, WEOC, where innovative oil solutions count, Geo's, It's That Good, Simply Coffee Antigua, Studio 72 Antigua, Simply Me, Down West Car Rentals, more than just a good deal.
I am woman. Hear me roar in numbers too big to ignore. Yes, I've paid the price. If I have to, I can do anything. I am woman.
Here at West Indies Oil, we recognize the contribution that women make to our country and our society as a whole. And therefore, we'll continue to provide opportunities for women to play key roles in the growth and success of this company.
So, your family life, your beautiful husband, your beautiful home, you know, your great job. This is what, 15 or 20 years down the line. Kathy Wint, that beautiful smile, giving of yourself, Life is good?
Life is amazing. I always say, whenever anyone asks me how I'm doing, I'm fantastic. I am. I am blessed to have this life. It did not come easy, and there are times when people judge me, and I take it with a grain of salt because I know we're island people. We're just naturally judgy people. But I'm blessed, and I'm well.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. So maybe you can share with us, one of your highest points. We spoke about, one of the lowest points, but one of your highest points.
My highest, I have a few roses. Possibly meeting my husband.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's so sweet.
he is simply probably the only person in the world who can tolerate me. I don't know how else to say it, but he puts up with my schisms and all my craziness and all the hours that I work and all the, all my whims.
Yes.
So that's probably one of my high points, meeting him and marrying him, and doing what I do now, because I get to see the impact of, my community work. I get to go out to a Vita site and have a single mom hug me because she just got back $5,000 in her pocket.
Good.
That's huge for a working mother who has nothing going for her. I get to go to a lot of the homeless shelters, and I see people and I get to hug people, and they're so grateful and thankful to see us. And it's the little things. Sometimes it's just the little things, and the things that we take for granted. And I just love what I do. I just do.
Would you change anything?
What would I change? I try to live without regrets. So possibly not much.
If anything at all.
Yeah.
Because of whatever challenges you faced in the past, this is who you are now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if I didn't have these experiences, I wouldn't be here. If I wasn't, abused, I wouldn't be in America. If I didn't have that job and they didn't let me go, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. So I believe that everything in this world happens for a reason, and the universe has a way of correcting itself.
It always does.
Yeah, so I try not to sweat the small stuff. Yeah.
Any particular woman that, I don't want to use the word idolize, but you really look up to?
Definitely it was my mom. She passed a few years ago, but she's taught me so much. And it's only now that I'm getting older that I'm recognizing. My younger sister says to me all the time, "You are becoming your mother." Which I used to take, issues with that. But now I'm like, she was an amazing person. She raised me. She raised me well. So I think definitely her. And I miss her terribly.
Yeah.
I do.
I'm sure she definitely is the reason you are the person that you are.
She is.
And that phrase, that statement she made to you.
Life is much more than me.
Still rings in your head.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it does. Kathy, thank you so much for
Thank you so
this conversation
much.
was so short, but it opened our eyes once again, because through this we're able to at least help others, help other women in some form or fashion, give them some form of inspiration, open doors, even if it's emotionally, mentally for them, that they can, if they choose to. It's just basically making that first step.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Kathy.
This was fun.
It was.
According to a UN report in 2017, almost 50,000 women died as a result of domestic violence. Violence against women, violence against girls continues to be a major challenge that we face. Unfortunately, too many women lose their lives. I know too many women who have lost their lives as well as a result of domestic violence. Monique Ramsey is one of them. If you know someone who's being abused, please report it. Say something, do something. Try your best to help. Kathy Wint has to deal with the loss of her sister every second, every minute, every hour, every day. Let us not be a statistic. Do something about abuse. This episode of The Story of a Woman is in memory of Monique Ramsey.